Yes, This song is called Be the Change, inspired by the words of Mahatma Gandhi, who lived for peace and not violence, and told us to be the change we wish to see in the world. Freedom's calling, I feel the fire that's deep inside us. Everybody wants change, but tell me who will guide us. To the leaders that pass away, put up your lighters. It's a beautiful struggle, but it cannot divide us. We're the ones that we've always been waiting for. See yourself in the mirror and open up the door. Walk through it and feel the love throughout your pores. Be the light, life's purpose is to feel joy. Metaphysical, lyrical, standing up for truth. The only one to make change is walking in your shoes. Be the example, don't complain about the news. Making music and serving the world with the loo. Now you can be the same, or you can be the change. Find strength from inside, break through the chains. No one to blame, nothing to prove. You create your reality, it's up to you. Be the change that you wanna see in the world. Like Gandhi live for peace, aspire to peace. Someone who fights for the beliefs like Martin Luther King. Aspire to be that love, that light, like Christ, life for the moment in need. And if you believe in Jehovah, Allah, Buddha, Krishna, it's love to me. My soul yearns for peace in a world that's flooded with war. History's littered with body scar.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, you know, it's been absolutely gorgeous here the last couple of days. A Washington heat wave, if you want to call it that, up into the 90s. Clear skies. Yesterday the chemtrails came in and I saw the monkeys jumping up and down all over the place. They're not very happy about that kind of stuff going on, but I see that the monkeys actually focus a little bit of energy that direction, and I've seen some amazing things happen with those chemtrails as far as them just getting zapped, so to say, and them just like disappearing from the sky. It's just absolutely amazing what the conscious mind has the ability to do. And the energies have been quite remarkable here the last week. Me personally, I've been doing some serious processing, and you know, I pop on YouTube once in a while and look at what the sun's doing. The sun's throwing out flare after flare after flare, and doing even some anomalous things. I had this one flare that popped this filament out, and then it like rubber banded right back in, and then popped the exact same filament back out again. And quite a few of the guys that watch the solar stuff were pretty shocked by this, because it's like lightning striking twice type thing. You know, they just don't see that sort of thing happening. But there is so much going on in our world and in our environment. My prayers and intentions and good blessings go out to everybody out there that's struggling through the climactic stuff that's happening right now. The Midwest here in the U.S. is under having one of the worst heat waves in hundreds of years. The tornadoes and thunderstorms in the Northeast have been quite remarkable. The chaos with our powers that want to be creating crap to try to get the public on their side with the gun control. There's so much going on in so many different levels that wow, what a time to be here.
Yeah, what a time.
Oh, I love that comment, Ron. Yeah, what a time. All right. Oh, jeez. Oh, man. So, with all that going on, Ramon and I, we continue having stuff going on the website. You know, we try to do something on here, you know, every couple of days or so anyways. Again, I think we mentioned it in the last show, we got a link on there for the the tablets that have been released down in South America, these things are freaking jaw-dropping.
Who was that interview with, or did you say you had an interview, or you put it on your website?
It was in our last show we mentioned this. It wasn't an interview, but
it was a news.
Haramin is the one that is kind of spearheading this and bringing a lot of this stuff out. But there's some amazing tablets that are coming out down there that are just, there's absolutely no denying that they're showing craft flying around in our skies.
Cool.
I urge you, there's a lot of different resources out there on the net. We've got a link there in the news section that you can follow, and it'll take you to check out some of this stuff. Oh, let's see, what else, Ramon?
The Pythagoras conference that's coming up in October, between October 10th and the 14th. So if you're going to be in the Horseshoe, Southern Indiana area, and you plan on going that, if you purchase through us, they hook us up, so you kill two birds with one stone, you help support the show, and you get to go to a great conference. The other thing that we keep forgetting to mention is we still got the little monkeys running around.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah, and that's the 8 gig USB monkey that has all of 2000. We did a couple months in 2010, all of 2011. And Tom will put on there all our video interviews that we've done too. Let's see. And also, I know yesterday some people had problems with Podbean. It wasn't working, but it's up now and working perfectly. So.
Yeah, and for those of you, those new subscribers, the people that decide to subscribe to this show, we have had a few issues with them sending the password out automatically, and so if when you do subscribe, if you don't get a password automatically and like instantly, drop me an email. I try to keep a pretty close eye on that, and if I get notifications from that audio server or audio host that they've sent one out. If I don't see that, I try to stay right on top of it and make sure that, I follow it up and get people their passwords and everything right away. But, stuff can fall through the hole. So if you have any issues along those lines, make sure you give us a shout, and we'll take care of you right away.
Yes, and it's info at the 100th Monkey, because no matter what time one of us are up, because we're on opposite sides of the globe, so.
Yeah, I suppose that is one perk of me being here in the States and you being in Japan, I suppose, as far as us, managing the website ourselves. So.
Yeah. So last thing, you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and Vimeo as well. So if you scroll down, you can click on the links and find us there. I'm always putting stuff up on Facebook that's the 100th Monkey radio show on Facebook. So all the new shows and all stuff like that. Sign up to our mailing list as well. If you become a member, I automatically sign you guys up. But if you're not a member, you can still sign up, so we don't discriminate. And
also, we're really interested in hearing your guys' stories too. I mean, every one of us, each one of us on this planet has had some amazing events. I mean, every single person I've ever talked to in depth has always been able to relate to me some amazing event that happened in their own personal lives. And these stories are stories that we put out there, and just like all the guests that we bring on our shows, their stories are experiences that they had in their own lives that other people can relate to, and especially when it goes into the quote unquote supernatural or paranormal realms. When you share an experience like that somebody else has had, that it makes it brings a person a little bit, it makes them more grounded as far as in how they're seeing this reality and how they're able to deal with the personal experiences that they do have. because if you have an experience and no one else has, you can't relate to anybody else having a similar experience. It makes it tough to process. So, our ears are wide open for hearing what you guys have to say, what you've experienced, and we're just always seeking.
The last thing before Tom introduces our guests, because I know they're falling asleep now. What's really amazing is that, something really is happening and people are waking up because, we've only been on the air for close to, in November would be 2 years, and in a couple weeks would be 100 episodes. And we have listeners from all over the world, and I'll read the last few ones. Zambia, Macau, St. Lucia, Isle of Man, which I have no idea where that's at.
That's Tunisia. That's right off the coast of Great Britain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, hop, skip, and a jump. Okay, cool. And, another one is, if you listen to the major media, quote unquote, our enemies, Islamic Republic of Iran, the Palestine territory, what's the other one? Saudi Arabia. I'm just amazed. So people are waking up all over the place. Oh, someone in Iraq too? Wow.
Yeah, we've got listeners in Iraq too. So,
all right.
Yeah, so I mean,
big shout out to everybody else.
It is a worldwide event for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah. So without further ado, Tom.
Well, we're bringing back our Mr. Link It All. He links all this stuff together.
Our energy guy.
Our energy guy. He has amazing ability for bringing people together. He I don't know. He draws. This is one of his gifts here on this planet. He draws different energies to him, and he sees how this piece fits with this piece, and this person really should talk to this person. And I'm just absolutely amazed with the work that he's done as being that liaison between so many different forces. Mark Hoza, welcome back.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the opportunity.
Welcome back.
And it's pretty exciting today because I'm very, very excited to be at Patrick's house and working with Patrick. But yeah, it's a real treat.
Yeah. So, give us a quick overview of what you've been doing with your life since the last time we talked.
Well, a lot of the focus has been organizing. It hasn't been real long. I am moved with a decision to come over to the U.S. For a few weeks back in June. I met with a number of different people. We had the Blue Star Enterprise blessing ceremony, which was wonderful. That was with Ralph Ring's group. If you look at bluestarenterprise.com, Ralph Ring has put together a blessing ceremony. Ralph and Marcia led a blessing ceremony with some of the Native American tribes. They had we had people come from quite a distance. A lot of different special people came together to give a blessing over the work that we're doing in the effort to clean up the planet, bring out technologies and consciousness raising efforts to clean up the planet and help people to live in a more balanced way with Earth and with all life, really, and with each other. So that started off that trip. From there, we spent some time, went out to meet with Pete Peterson for a couple of week or so. Then we went down and spent some time, came and met Patrick. A real highlight of my trip was meeting Patrick, and we then started working towards a question of could we do some work together with another fellow, which I'll probably hold off mentioning who that is now, but happy to talk about it when the time's right. But we're looking at helping Patrick to bring out some things, the Neurophone, which is something he can talk with you about, what the Neurophone is. It's one of the most special things that he invented. Patrick can talk about it, maybe some of the things that He's worked on with water, with Hansa water, and making water so that it's balanced and able to be more harmonizing for when you drink it. One of the most exciting things that I definitely want you guys to help me to remember to talk about when Patrick comes on here is his ideas about neutralizing the harmful effects of radiation. I asked him a couple of days ago what would be helpful in Japan, what we could do, and he said it's quite a simple solution. As one solution is to spray it with sulfur.
Sulfate. Sulfates can't stay in the biological system for more than 12 hours, and all heavy metals form sulfates except for iodine, and that means that all the heavy metals from the nuclear plant can be sulfated, and then they won't stay in biological organisms. They won't stick around, in other words. So taking organic sulfur, which is a form of MSM, methyl sulfonyl methane, is a way to remove the heavy metals, especially, of course, any heavy metal from your body, but especially all the radioactive ones, like the cesium and so forth.
Wow.
So you're listening. This is Patrick Flanagan, which I'm sure most of our listeners by now will be semi-familiar with. He's invented 1958 he invented a device called a Neurophone, which that in itself amazing technology that's helped allow the deaf to hear. And along with that, I think he said in another interview, over 300 different inventions that he's put out there. And I started poking around and looking at some of the work that he's done, and wow, this guy has really left a mark already. And I have a feeling that he's just now coming into his own. So Patrick Flanagan, wow, it's an honor and pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. It's an honor to be with you.
So, kind of let's start with for those of us who don't really know who you are and everything. I'd kind of like to get a little background on you. Now, I saw the Time article. I think it was. Was it a Time magazine?
Well, I've been in Time magazine, but maybe you're talking about the Life magazine article from
Life magazine. That's what it was, right? So, would you give us a quick rundown? Where were you born, and how did you start poking around in this stuff?
Okay, well, I was born in Oklahoma City, actually, and my family were a farming family. My grandfather was an Oklahoma State senator at one point, but just ordinary farming kind of people. And my father was a surveyor for the Oklahoma Highway Department, and then he became a draftsman, and then he went to work for Shell Oil Company as an oil scout. And we traveled a lot when I was a child. And but very early on, when I was 8 years old, I became a ham radio operator, receiving my general class license when I was 8 years old, and was building Tesla coils when I was 8, and that's before one knew what Tesla coils were, and built very powerful, equipment. And then when I was 11, 12, I developed a missile detector, atomic bomb detector, and won a science fair with it. By then we moved to Houston, Texas when I was 12, and had been there for 3 months, and I entered a science fair with my atomic bomb detector, and the Pentagon sent a team of 12 scientists from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and took my guided missile detector away, and that's when I first got the attention of the government. And I worked for the Pentagon when I was 17 and invented the Neurophone, applied for my own patent. They put it under secrecy for a number of years because they thought it could be used for mind control. That kind of technology actually can be used for mind control, but it also can be used to reverse mind control. So it's a two-edged sword. And later, yeah, go ahead.
And I was going to interrupt you because in 1990, it was either 1995, 96, at that time I was doing a college radio show, and we had joined a gym, and one of the nutritionists was this guy who's really into what he used to call like the crazy science. And he had this machine, and I'm wondering if it was your machine, that it had like some little rubber things, and it looked like earphones, but instead of the regular earphones, it would be like rubber. And he would put it on the back of my neck or even on my arm, anywhere on my body, and I would hear the music inside my head. And I'm wondering if that was your machine.
Now, 1992?
No, like 96, 95.
Yeah, well, I developed the Neurophone in 1958, so yeah, I mean, it probably was my machine.
I was listening to music. I've been tuning up and getting where I can hear the music in my head, or listening to music and listening to YouTube and stuff in my head. I hear it in my head, and also, anyway, it's amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like it's coming from inside the middle of your head.
Yeah.
Not from wherever it is on your body.
Yeah.
But there's also bone conduction, and bone conduction works. If you vibrate the bones of the body and you plug up your ears, you can hear the sound. But the Neurophone doesn't work through bone conduction. It works through another principle. So I'm not sure. Do you remember the name of the person who had this device that you tried?
He was a nutritionist at this gym, and he was like really into like, he would do work like detoxifying people and stuff like that. And that's when, the World Wide Web was very new. So he was into these, I guess there were forums at the time.
Yeah. Well,
so I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
It probably was my machine, or a version of it. Yeah.
I'm really curious about you mentioned it has the ability to be a reverse mind control machine. Now, how would that work? I mean, there's tons and tons and tons of people out there who, at least claim to be under some form of mind control by nefarious forces. How would this work?
Well, what happened is they discovered fairly early that if you modulate microwave transmitters and you aim it at a person's head, they hear the sound inside their head as if it were a thought. So you can put sounds in people's heads and make them think that it's a voice, God telling them what to do or whatever. Okay, and so there are different forms of mind control. The thing about the Neurophone is that there's also something called pain drug hypnosis and hypnosis, where they give you a hypnotic drug. And then while you're under the hypnotic drug, they can torture your body or whatever, and then give you post-hypnotic suggestions, and that say, for example, that this person over here, this politician or whatever, is causing that pain in your body, and that if you kill that person, your pain will go away. And so there are. we could do hours and hours on techniques of mind control and that. And I've had that done to my own body. By the way, I had it done to me, so I know what I'm talking about. When I was a child, it was done to me. And so I really, come from experience, and this isn't just theory. But the Neurophone, what it does is it balances the left and right hemispheres of the brain and puts your brain in phase coherence. And when it does, it balances the acupuncture meridian system of the body. It balances the left and right hemispheres. And when that happens, when a person is perfectly balanced, then they can't be controlled. Okay. And so, but under the right conditions, not with the Neurophone, but using that kind of technology, you can certainly do that. And there are thousands, tens of thousands of people. And I got letters from people who told me that they were being mind controlled, and that, there are people with, microwave horns, like, Whitney Strieber had this thing where he said that somebody was, laughing at him in his head, and he looked out the window and somebody was standing out there with a microwave horn aimed at his apartment, to give you an idea. So this stuff really does exist. The Neurophone can cancel that out. And, so, I mean, we're coming into the light now. We don't have to focus on darkness because we're coming into the light. We're coming into the, to the edge of the emission of the galaxy, the photon belt, and we're all coming into light, and all these dark forces that are using this stuff in a negative way are going to go away. They're not going to exist.
Yeah, I want to regress a little bit back to when you were 17, because I find your life history just amazing, and I think amazing is not even the right word for it. Is there a word above amazing, Tom?
Phenomenal. Phenomenal. Da, 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 da. Phenomenal. Da, 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 da.
So, so let's go back when you were 17. You were working for the Pentagon, and you made this machine. What happened after that?
Well, what happened is that this group called Huyck Research Lab, Huyck, which is a Dutch name, in Stamford, Connecticut. It was run by William O. Davis, who was former director of the Office of Scientific Research at the Pentagon, and G. Harry Stein, who was a science fiction writer, but also was a scientist. He was my handler, let's say. So when I was 17 years old, I went to Stamford, Connecticut. I drive there and work during the summer, and then drive home. And I met Dr. Henry Coanda, H-E-N-R-I, Coanda, C-O-A-N-D-A. And his girlfriend was Gloria Swanson, who had been a silent film star who made it into talkies and then got an Academy Award for, and anyway, they would take me out to lunch every day because I was, a kid, 17, and so they'd take me out to lunch, and he was 80 years old, and she was like 60 at the time, I guess 50 something. Anyway, they'd take me out to lunch, and they had an 80th birthday party for him, and I went in, and during the birthday party, I said, well, when I'm 80 years old, I hope I'm in as good shape as you're in. And Coanda said, Patrick, when you're 80, we'll talk about it. everyone got a big laugh out of that. And then the next Monday, that was on a weekend, the next Monday we went into the lab and he called me into his office and he said that he had been searching for the fountain of youth all his life, and that he knew that water was the most important nutrient we put in our body. And he said he had been searching 60 years for the ultimate water and had been to Hunza land in Himalayas, and he had the secret of Hunza water, at least what it was supposed to be like. And he turned his water research over to me, and I began my lifelong career researching water and developed a number of incredible products as a result of that.
Wow.
Yeah, water is something that both, I know Ramon and I both have put a lot of focus on here in the last year. We see it as such an essential, I mean, it's absolutely essential for the human being. And having good, clean water, even more so. And with all the crap that's going on in the world right now, just finding that is a challenge. And I know, Mark, you also have done some work with some people and some technology in purifying water through various different means, magnetic and geometric and now, Patrick, has Mark shared with you any of that technology that he's worked with in the past?
Well, we haven't talked about it a lot. We've talked about some of our common. I talked to Patrick when I first met him about some of my interests. It just so happens that one of my professors who became a friend at Parsifal College in Sydney, where I was studying to be a Steiner teacher for Waldorf schools. I became friends with this guy. He said he ended up living with this fellow by the name of, is it Theodore Schwenk?
Schwenk, yeah, Schwenk.
It's Theodore. And he witnessed all these Schwenk's work with oloids and also taking photographs of water in different conditions. He would massage water in a very specific way, using very specific shapes and specific techniques. And he found ways to bring life back into water. He in fact invented a propulsion system for ferries for boats that would push the boat forward. It replaced the propeller, which would just spin in one direction, and it would push the boats around. And they actually brought life back to Nova lakes that a river system that was completely dead, and they brought life back to it just by fitting these on the ferries. That technology was so exciting to me. It really opened up my that was my first real exciting encounter with the power of water and how important it is. And then and he showed me a lot of the my friend Erwin Burney showed me a lot of these plates that he had plates that he had been given by Schwenk, and he took them to Australia. There's still a collection there of them. He passed on last year. Erwin Burney passed on last year, but all of those plates still exist. And anyway, I was talking with Patrick about this, and Patrick had a lot more knowledge about it as well. Anyway, there were a lot of interesting points.
Schwenk was actually also working with Rudolf Steiner Technologies. I mean, yeah. They're from the same kind of school. I mean, but Schwenk is he wrote the most wonderful book on water ever written.
What was it called? Life Energies? What was it? No, that's someone else.
I think you did it.
It's funny you speak of water because we, what was that, 2 weeks ago, Tom, or last week? Like, it all seems like the same day. We interviewed Dr. Masaru Emoto, and I've had a few times to meet up with him, and it's just amazing. I mean, because of, for example, from his work is what started opening my eyes to look at water differently. Before, like, probably the average person just takes water for granted. It's like, oh, okay, I need to drink it and I need it for a shower, but other than that, who cares? But now it's like a whole different way of viewing it. So, go ahead, Mark.
We found that book, anyway, we just had a quick look because we were both Sensitive Chaos, the creation of flowing forms in water and air.
Yeah, now that book, we both so recommend that book. That book is awesome. You gotta.
What's the name one more time?
Sensitive Chaos, and then the creation of flowing forms in water and air. Sensitive Chaos by Theodore Schwenk. And it's SCHWENK. It's on Amazon. We're just looking at it. It's $26.65 or $11.35 if you. This is the cheapest it shows. Anyway, that's well worth the money. Also
that's my Christmas present, Tom.
Yeah, a lot of work that Rudolf Steiner did around. I was studying anthroposophy, and I've been working with Rudolf Steiner's work, and I've just had this fascination with water. Patrick's knowledge of water is extremely extensive, and I would actually like to go, if we could, a bit more the ideas of how you in Japan could be. I know, Ramon, you're in Japan, but everybody around the world has issues with water for different reasons. But I'd like Patrick to talk about what is important about water. Why is it important?
I'd kind of like to have him answer the question on, I've heard him use the term wetter water, and would you explain what you mean by that? Start off this with that.
Sure. Well, it turns out that water is not just H2O. That's the formula for water, but water, glass is a liquid. I don't know if you know that, but glass is a liquid. It just flows very slowly. If you go to old buildings that have been around 100 years, you'll see that the glass is like very thin on top and very thick on the bottom, because as a liquid, it's flowing slowly down. And the thing is, if you look at the structure of liquids like water, water does not just freeze at 0 degrees centigrade and boil at 100 degrees centigrade. That's the average, because in different places in the earth, water might freeze and boil at different temperatures at sea level. And it has different viscosity, different rheology. When I say rheology, it has a different surface tension. Now, water wets things, and it turns out that, like hot water, the reason you can't take dried potatoes and make mashed potatoes with cold water is because the water won't wet it. It lumps up, right? But if you heat the water, to a certain temperature, the water becomes wetter. It has a lower surface tension, and then it'll wet all the particles so you can make mashed potatoes. Anyone can. That makes sense, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So then, what Dr. Coanda told me is that the water in Hunzaland is wetter than the water in New York City, for example. It's got a lower surface tension. And so what I worked on is figuring out ways to make wetter water. And you can treat water with magnetic fields, electric fields, crystals, all kinds of things. And it changes the rheology. It changes water, and some of these things make water wetter, but all you have to do is severely agitate the water, and the water is no longer wetter. Its surface tension goes back to what it was. And so what Schwenk, for example, showed in the flowing of water, there are things called flow forms, where, when you run water through a straight pipe, it loses its energy, and it changes its structure. Whereas when water is flowing in a river, when it's meandering naturally, following its own course, it gets wetter. Now, I developed a product called Crystal Energy, and Crystal Energy was the result of my research of Hoza water, which is the best water in the world, but no one can drink Hoza water.
Where's Hunza?
Hunza land is north of Pakistan. It's a small country north of Pakistan in a 8,000 high foot valley surrounded by some of the tallest mountains in the world, including Nanga Parbat, which is the second highest mountain in the world next to Mount Everest. And the water coming down from there, the people in Hunza land generally live to be over 100 years old. Some of them have children. Even women have children when they're like 80 years old. And they remain vital. They don't have cancer. And so people have gone there researching, trying to figure out why these Hunza people have such energy and power and longevity. And some people thought it was because they ate a lot of apricots and so forth. And basically, Dr. Coanda said that it was because of the water. He said water's the most important nutrient we put in our bodies. And so I did this research from the age of 17 all the way through, trying to duplicate the characteristics of Hunza water. And I developed this thing called Crystal Energy. And when you add the drops to water, it lowers the surface tension. You can take ordinary water at room temperature, add my product to it, mix it with mashed potatoes, and you make perfect mashed potatoes without having to heat the water.
Wow.
Better water.
Boy. Wow.
Now, what does drinking this wetter water do for you? I mean, what does it do physiologically for you?
Well, we have tests that show that it increases the flow of nutrients across cell membranes 2.5 times faster than ordinary water. And you can add it to any water. You can add it to any water. I don't care what the water is. And it increases the flow of nutrients across cell membranes 2.5 times faster, makes it wetter. And it also increases the flow of cellular byproducts and toxins out of the cell 2.5 times faster. So it increases the efficiency of the body by 2.5 times. And so that's one thing it does. And so it just increases the efficiency of the body. And you know, that if you think about water flowing, think about a river flowing at a certain rate. When water flows at a certain rate, we know that it can carry a certain amount of debris with it based on the rate at which it flows. If you double the speed of water, flowing water, you increase the amount of debris it can carry by 64 times, okay? Doubling the speed of water. If you double that, it's 64 times 64, and that's why when you get a flood, you know, and the creek comes up and it starts flowing and you're getting big boulders rolling down the creek, that's because of this power of water. So imagine if you increase the flow of water across the cell membranes 2.5 times. That means that you've increased the ability to carry nutrients over 64 times. And toxins over 64 times. So that's a lot. It doesn't sound like much, but it's a huge amount.
Mm-hmm. On the contrary, it sounds like a lot. Well, but that's just coming from a semi-educated viewpoint on this stuff. So, man. So, and this is a product that you have available on your website, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is www.phisciences.com, PHISCIENCES.com.
Yeah.
What's the name of the product again?
Crystal
Energy,
right? Yeah,
Crystal Energy.
Yeah, and then there'll also be, like, since, you know, you guys would also really like to know about the Mega Hydrate, because those two things are so important for drinking water. But if you don't mind, I'd like to have Patrick talk about Mega Hydrate some too, because it's different, but it's very it's related.
Absolutely.
Sure. Well, in the research on crystal energy, I've always wondered what it is about cooked food versus uncooked food that made a difference in our health. For example, if you take fresh carrots and you make juice from them and you drink the juice right away, it enlivens the body, right? You get a quickening. But if you wait an hour and drink the carrot juice, it's still good, but you don't get that quickening. You don't get that energy boost that you had when you drank it when it was fresh out of the juicer, right?
Right.
And so all my life, and we knew there's something about enzymes. Everyone says, oh, it's just the enzymes, and your cooked food kills the enzymes. But I knew there was something more, and I've always wanted to know that. So when I developed crystal energy, it changed my life because when I was 17, I happened to also be one of the top gymnasts in the world, but it came at a price because I didn't have a trainer and I trained myself, and the result was that I nearly destroyed my body in accidents and things like that. And when I was 30 years old, I could hardly walk. I'd get out of bed in the morning and my ankles would crack and I could hardly walk, and I knew by the time I was 60, I'd probably be a cripple. And so when I developed crystal energy, I started drinking huge amounts of it, and it changed my body. But I just felt like there was something else that I wasn't aware of, and so I started researching fresh juices. Okay, and then I discovered something called negative ionized hydrogen, which is hydrogen with an extra electron. And that was well known in astrophysics, but not known in biology. And so, anyway, I discovered that, what I discovered is that fresh carrot juice, fresh fruit juices and things like that have a huge amount of these H- ions, which are a source of biological electrons. And then I went back to Hoza water and discovered that Hoza water was loaded with these negative ionized hydrogen ions. It was something I had missed, and of course, they're very hard to detect. So how would you know, right? And so anyway, so I developed something called Mega Hydrate, Mega H, which contains these negative ionized hydrogen atoms. And in the Krebs cycle, which is the energy cycle of the cells in the body and the mitochondria, it gives us our life energy, and it turns out that H- ions are key to that. And so what I did is I had a sample of Hoza water. It was 30 years old. I had them in little vials that were sealed, flame-sealed vials, and I opened up one of the vials and I tested it, and it had a huge amount of these H- ions. And I started developing, trying to develop a product. I used to make 5-gallon jugs of this negative ionized water, and I would send it to friends all over, and it just did wonders for them. But it doesn't last that long. It only lasts for about a week, and then you got to redo it. And so I developed a way of taking a certain kind of silica, which is the silica, which is what's in Hoza water and what's in crystal energy, and I figured out a way to insert these negative ionized hydrogen atoms into it, and created something called Mega Hydrate and Mega H, which is the most powerful antioxidant found in nature. It's the primordial antioxidant in the universe. You can't get any more primordial than it.
So is this... Sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
No, you started. Go for it.
Is this a pill form that you take, or you drop it into your water?
You can get it in powder form, which you can put in your water. It's in a powder, or you can take it in capsules. I have to get capsules. Matter of fact, I used to. So that was the key. I'm 68 now, and it's very profound because, I may look 68 or not, I don't know, but the thing about my body is that inside I'm 30 years old,
Nice. So what do you think about distilled water? Because I know that when you distill water, it gets that negative charge.
Yeah, well, distilled water, basically, rainwater is distilled water because it's distilled by nature, right?
Right.
And what I do is I drink personally, I drink distilled water. I take distilled water, I add crystal energy to it, and then I take these negative ionized hydrogen, and then I've got the best of all worlds. Because, well water, you don't know what you're getting. There's all this big controversy. People think that distilled water leaches the good minerals out of your body, and that's all nonsense. Your body won't let go of its minerals just because of the kind of water you're drinking. What it will do is store bad minerals in the form of kidney stones, and slowly over time your body can become calcified, and you'll turn into a living statue,
Right.
As a matter of fact, a lot of people, they become so calcified, you can see them. As they get older, they creak.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I ask about distilled water is because Elizabeth and I also, that's the only water that we drink too. And thanks to,
Andrew Norton Webber.
Andrew Norton Webber, yeah. And are you familiar with him?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
He's done a tremendous amount of work on distilled water here in the last couple of years, and is really trying to raise the consciousness on distilled water and the whole mineral thing about the good and bad minerals that are in our bodies that are stored from the positive energy the positive versus the negative that attracts, and then flushing it out with the distilled water. And I've definitely noticed myself in the last year since I switched over to distilled a difference in my own body and the way I feel about
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 50.
Okay. Well, Paul Bragg is the guy that he wrote a book on water. Paul and his daughter Patricia Bragg. I mean, Paul Bragg is one of the greatest health pioneers in history. And he wrote a book on it, and he talked about the fact that people turn into rocks, from drinking water because the calcium and the magnesium in well water, your body can't use it. And so your body's, if it can't eliminate all the minerals through your kidneys, they end up getting stored in your joints and in your cells, and your cells become calcified. You make kidney stones, and you get all these problems. And a lot of people with arthritis, if they just drank distilled water, they would slowly over time dissolve all those kidney stones, and that uric acid is building up in their joints, and they would over time eliminate all of these problems. It's distilled water. If I didn't have anything else, distilled water or pure rainwater, of course, now in today's world with chemtrails and everything else, I wouldn't drink rainwater, but at least pure water. And Hunza water coming down in Hunza land is distilled water, because what it is that they have these glaciers that are millions of years old in the mountains, and what happens is that the water comes down from the glaciers, and the water has no mineral ions in it. It's got no calcium, it's got no magnesium ions. It's basically rainwater, pure low temperature distilled water made by nature.
Right.
And so that's what you start with. So that's the best water. I drink distilled water with crystal energy added, and I take Mega H or Mega Hydrate every day.
So,
sorry, Tom. What's your feeling on oh, I lost my train of thought. Never mind. Go ahead, Tom.
there's some other properties that you've discovered with the crystal energy. Would you go into those other benefits from it?
Yeah, I hear.
I had something I wanted to ask Patrick. I've been wanting to ask him this question, but this is a good place to ask it. With the rainwater, I was doing some experimenting with rainwater. I live in a very clean place next to the ocean in Australia, and I was collecting rainwater, and we were doing some experiments with what happened with the rainwater. We thought that we were getting the cleanest water we could get. We were just collecting the rain in pots, no capped, what do you call it? Capture. We weren't using any kind of way of just barrels out. Yeah. Nothing, just pots out open in the pots. Rain. The rain's enough there that we can, in a rain shower, we can fill anything we want and just put pots and pans out. And it was, in like a day, 2 days, it was starting to really stink, really going off. And it seems as though and I wondered about that, why that is. Another friend who works with water a lot, who I work with, bottling water, he said, no, the rainwater, it's got all this junk in it coming in from, the sky,
chemtrails.
And he said chemtrails and all the different stuff. Why would you drink that? And I wondered why Hunza water was different. Is it because it's in the glaciers?
The glaciers are millions of years old, and so the water coming in from the glaciers is water that rained a million years ago, because the glacier is pressing against the mountain, and the glaciers weigh millions of tons, and so the glacier. If you take ice and you put it under pressure, it liquefies. I don't know how cold it is. And so you put pressure on ice, it liquefies, and that's the water coming down. So, but so the best thing is to get a really good distiller. And now I happen to use reverse osmosis water. I used to have all kinds of distillers. The best distiller on earth is a vacuum distiller. One that distills water at low temperature using a vacuum, but those are really extremely expensive.
Well, they're really rare. That fellow I work with, Ray Cuttajar, down in Coffs Harbour in Australia, he's actually using those, but they're very rare, hard to find.
Yeah.
They were made. They go. You go under a vacuum, low level, low temperature distillation, so that it's not getting hot as well. It works very well.
Yeah, they distill water at like 37 degrees centigrade, which is body temperature 98 degrees Fahrenheit. They actually you can heat water up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit and then put a vacuum on it and distill it that way. That's distilled water on Earth, but nobody did one of those. They're like $20,000 for one of those.
You're not making them anymore there either.
Yeah.
Oh, well, not that one.
No.
So,
you
wanted to say
well, we'll get back to crystal energy when you guys. I know you're gonna take a break. Do you want to talk about? We're talking about crystal energy early, and you did ask.
Let's go ahead. Go ahead, Ramon.
No, I was gonna say we can probably save this question for the next hour, but I was gonna ask you how do you feel about water having memory?
Water does have memory, but it's very easy to erase the memory of water, running it through a magnetic field. Vibrating the water, putting it through vortexes. vortexing water is very important, and that's where we get into flow forms. That's where we get into the work of Schwenk, depending on, I guess, whether you're German or Swiss or Austrian. But I stir my water to the left, looking down from above. Counterclockwise vortex, because left-hand vortex energizes water, a right-hand vortex actually de-energizes water. If you do both, then it's neutral. But memory, water does have memory, and also that's how homeopathy works, because you can take substances, put them in water, you can dilute them to the point where there's no detectable through any means substance left in the water, and yet the water still has effects as if you were taking that substance.
Interesting. Well, we'll continue on in the second segment a little bit more with water, and then we want to get into some of the other areas here, some of the
your past
Tesla
life
stuff,
well.
And we'll dig into that a little bit in the second hour, and keep going. Wow, some very interesting stuff, guys. And I want to thank everybody for listening, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
If you're not a member,
hit that members button, yeah.
Hit it now.
Yeah. It's really reasonably priced, so. And if you have problems with that, drop us a line, and we'll see what we can do. So, condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance.
The love you deny is the pain you carry.
And we'll see you in the second segment.
Yes, This song is called Be the Change, inspired by the words of Mahatma Gandhi, who lived for peace and not violence, and told us to be the change we wish to see in the world. Freedom's calling, I feel the fire that's deep inside us. Everybody wants change, but tell me who will guide us. To the leaders that pass away, put up your lighters. It's a beautiful struggle, but it cannot divide us. We're the ones that we've always been waiting for. See yourself in the mirror and open up the door. Walk through it and feel the love throughout your pores. Be the light, life's purpose is to feel joy. Metaphysical, lyrical, standing up for truth. The only one that makes change is walking in your shoes. Be the example, don't complain about the news. Making music and serving the world with the loo. Now you can be the same, or you can be the change. Thought strength from inside, break through the chains. No one to blame, nothing to prove. You create your reality, it's up to you. Be the change
that you wanna see in the world. Like Gandhi, live for peace, aspire to peace. Someone who fights for the beliefs, like Martin Luther King. Aspire to be that love, that light, like Christ, life for the moment in need. And if you believe in Jehovah, Allah, Buddha, Christian, it's up to me.
My soul yearns for peace in a world that's flooded with war. History's littered with body scar, trying to settle the score and maintain an archaic platform of power and greed. People fight for land out of survival and need. So I'm killing my television and I'm planting the seed to fill my head with knowledge that I'm seeing recede. Due to the media propaganda killing my creed. Or what don't kill me make me stronger, feeling straight when I bleed. Fighting for interest before it's attached to feet. They try to sell you anything in this world, nothing for free. Land, air, fire, and water, they keep up in the ante, while the anti-proletariats hold the powers to be. But we keep fighting, surviving and thriving, recycling and rhyming. We constantly inclining, we see through the lying and prying. They tactically keep trying to keep you from asking the why.
Be the change that you wanna see in the world. Like Gandhi, live for peace, aspire to peace. Someone who fights for the beliefs, like Martin Luther King. Aspire to be that love, that light, like Christ, life for the moment in need. And if you believe in Jehovah, Allah, Buddha, Christian, it's up to
bleed, teaching the tools to succeed. Positive role models, we plant the seed. The roots drink the water which feed the tree. Someone help me, giving back is my responsibility. Be the change that you wanna see in the world.